questions. Thank you. First of all, honored to be here and representing Indiana University, my home state, born and raised in Indiana, played high school football in Indiana, coached high school football in Indiana for many years, and my dad was a longtime high school coach in the state of Indiana, so strong ties to my home state. Very proud and humbled to be representing Indiana University here today. I want to thank our athletic director, Fred Glass, for the opportunity he's given me to lead our program, and President Rodney for the confidence in allowing me to be in this position. I would also like to thank Kevin Wilson for bringing me home and giving me the opportunity to be the defensive coordinator here a year ago, and for what he did for our program the last several years and the foundation that was laid. Excited to be a part of a program that's gone to back-to-back bowl games. It's only happened 4 times in our program's history. And the ability to build off that foundation of playing tough, competitive football week in and week out. That brings me to the point in our program where we've been challenged as players and as coaches to break through. As we know, many times we've been close. The last time we played in the Foster Farms Bowl against a very talented Utah team, final minutes of the game, opportunities to finish with a win, and did not. And I've challenged our team with this concept. When I met with our players after I took over, I wrote these 3 numbers on the board. Did this with our staff as well. 50, 26, 10. And asked them if they knew what those numbers represented. And they did. So I proceeded to tell them, it's been 50 years since we won the Big Ten. It's been 26 years since we won a bowl game. It's been 10 years since we had a winning season in Indiana. We're going to accomplish all 3 of those, I told our team. If you don't believe that, you need to leave. So the same thing to our staff. I love them, I appreciate them, but I want a coaching staff, I want a football team that believes. In my first meeting with our defense over a year ago, I wrote the letters L-E-O on the board. Asked them once again if they knew what that meant. They did. It stands for love each other. Didn't talk about football, didn't talk about scheme. It was about changing the mindset and the culture of that side of football. To me, it was about getting our focus off ourselves, building trust, developing a culture that said it's not about me, it's about we. I don't truly care who gets the credit. I care that this team is successful. That's the attitude that I wanted. That's what I wanted our team. I love the way the young men that I brought with me today have embraced that. T. Gray Scales to become the leader of our football team. Rashard Fan, unquestioned leader with our defense, leading a veteran group of 9 returning starters. 2 young men that bought in from day one to trying to change the culture of our program on that side of football. A great improvement last year defensively. From 2015 to 2016, we're not satisfied with that. We want to be a top 25 defense. That's our goal. Also brought Richard Lego with me today. A young man I highly respect. He's the leader of our offense. Got 7 stars returning. Going to be pretty young offensively. Excited about our staff. Brought in Mike DeMore to be our new offensive coordinator from the University of Tennessee, where he was in that same role there. A man that I trust, that I know is a tremendous high character, tremendous person, excellent football coach. Joining him with Grant Hurd to coach receivers, Darren Miller, offensive line, Mike Hart, running backs, and Nick Sheridan coaching the quarterbacks. A whole new offensive staff that I'm excited about. Tremendous men of character, leadership, also great knowledge and a heart for their players, which I care a whole lot about. Every special teams is area we have to improve on. And I recognize that and acknowledge that from the beginning. That begins with the quality of your specialists. I'm excited about Griffin Oaks and his return for his senior year to be able to finish strong and to be able to be the excellent specialist I know that he is. I want to conclude by saying how excited I am to start the season. We're going to bring our players in August 1st to report, start practice on the 2nd, to prepare for the biggest home opener in the history of Indiana University football on August 31st. We play the Ohio State Buckeyes in Bloomington for an 8 o'clock kickoff. It's going to be a very exciting opportunity for me to be in my first home game as the head coach in my home state. Very, very blessed to be in this position. I'll be happy to take questions this time.
Start here in the third row. Bill Rabinowitz of the Columbus Dispatch. You've had some time to reflect now on the way you got the job, Kevin Wilson's departure. What are your thoughts about that? And also going against him in that opener, which you call the biggest in Indiana history.
Yeah, it's the biggest home opener because we've not played a more highly ranked conference opponent to start a season before, and that creates a lot of excitement. As I mentioned previously, a lot of respect for Kevin. Appreciate what he did for me. This is about the Indiana Hoosiers versus the Ohio State Buckeyes. And we haven't had a conference opening game since 1982. So that obviously makes it a very, very big game for us. The media is going to make a big deal about, him being there and myself being here, offense versus defense, but it's way bigger than that. It's not about me or coaches. It's about players making plays. And so I'm excited about our team and how hard they're working. It's a tremendous motivation to have that kind of game to start your season. It creates a tremendous sense of urgency, and that's what it's done. That's what makes it such a great opportunity for our program.
Front here, Coach.
Good afternoon, Coach. Sam Jacobs from Hoosier Huddle. You talked about that Rose Bowl team that happened 50 years ago. Are there any lessons from that season that you can take from that breakthrough and teach your team for this year?
Well, I'm one of those, I go back and study history and different programs, and you go back and look at the history of the seasons leading up to that year. Obviously, it's many years ago. I wasn't born yet. Obviously, our players were not around. But the bottom line is that it creates the visual picture of what you want. When I first got here to Indiana a year ago, we break down workouts and we break it down on Big Ten champs. That's how we would finish that workout and everything. So, I'm one of those that I don't want words to be just words. I want them to mean something. And so that's my challenge is if you're going to say you're going to break it down on Big Ten champs, I want to know if you believe it. And so obviously that team, Coach Pont years ago, did something special. And they had won 3 games the year before going to the Rose Bowl. And so the bottom line is it all begins with belief. And I believe strongly in that word and the power that it entails. But it's not just a word, it has to be something to it. You have to earn the right to expect to be successful on game day. And we're in the process of building that mentality every single day.
All the way to the right.
Yes, Tom. Jeff Washburn, Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. I know with your background, you have a passion for Indiana high school football, dating from your days from North Newcastle to coaching at Ben Davis. Great program. Commissioner Delaney just talked about the Friday night games. The Big Ten, there's going to be 3 or 4 in Big Ten cities, one in West Lafayette, none in Bloomington this year. But do you have mixed feelings about that, or are you a little concerned with that, given what it means to Indiana high school football to have Friday nights to themselves?
Yes, I'm very concerned about it. I'm not going to sit here and try and make a big issue in terms of what I think. My history as a high school coach for 15 years is strong. It's who I am. It's how I started and spent so many years. So I think that's a special night. I don't like playing games on Friday night. I think that's high school night. So that's not always my decision. But I'm one of those that I'm not going to just not tell you what I believe. I think that's a situation where I would prefer that we didn't. But I understand there may be factors that outside my control for that. But to answer your question, I would like to keep that night special for high school football, because that means a lot to me.
Any other questions for Coach Allen at this time?
Coach, you mentioned you had a lot of respect for Richard Lago. What has he done in the offseason to grow both on the field and off the field?
I would say, first of all, would be leadership. I'm a strong believer that everything rises and falls on leadership. It begins with us as coaches. You have to create it, develop it, enhance it with your team. He's bought into that. I've sat with him, we've met, we've challenged him, given him books to read, to be able to get different thoughts on how to creatively live that out. And he's grown. A lot of it's just taking position, owning it, taking charge, realizing this is your football team, this is your offense, and holding your teammates accountable. That takes courage to do that. It's hard to stand up and tell your peers they're doing something wrong or getting them back in line or whatever, but it's on the field, off the field. So that's something I've seen him grow in a lot, just learning our new system, and allowing him to be able to play with confidence, execute, throws the ball extremely well, got to protect it better, and he knows that. And so I've just seen him grow in that, and obviously just to be able to believe that when it's 2 minutes to go in the game, we got to go score, that put the team on my back, and we'll find a way. And that's the mentality that we want him to have, so he's growing in that area.
We have time for 2 final questions. We'll start here on the left.
Hey, Coach, Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald. I'm sure you've been asked this before, but a year ago at this time, we were a new defensive coordinator in Indiana trying to get that defense a lot better than it was, and you succeeded in that. I'm curious, as you look back on that season, if there were 2 or 3 things that were really important to nail down with your team before the season and then played itself out during the season that sort of led to such an incredible improvement in points and yards allowed.
Yeah, I would say so. First of all, we make such a huge issue of taking the ball away. We kind of have created a culture of, we use that word, it's a different word. We're not allowed to, as a defense, we're not allowed to use the word turnover. If I say turnover, I got to do 25 push-ups as a coach. Players have to as well. We want to be aggressively attacking football. So we made such a huge issue of that throughout spring football, fall camp, have a whole mechanism of reinforcing that with the reward system, a penalty system, all those things involved. And so we get to our first game down at FIU, and we score on defense in the second quarter. And then we score again on defense in the fourth quarter. And we got a safety. So we scored 16 points with 2 key takeaways on defense. And there's a video of me getting really, really excited, which is kind of normal for me. But I was extra excited because I knew how big that was. In our very first game, where we're creating takeaways and we're scoring on defense, which we've emphasized for so long since the first day I got there, it was huge. And the second was against Michigan State. We had a chance to go to overtime. And I challenged our defense to be the reason why. I felt like I hadn't been in that position very long to just get all the negative feedback of the defense would have just done this, or we could have got to stop here, could have got to stop there, or would have done this, or would have done that. And I challenged our guys, be the reason why. Well, in that game, when it went to overtime, our defense had the opportunity to be the reason why. And 2 huge sacks to finish out that game I knew when that happened that things were going to change. And the confidence of our players and the mindset of our players on defense, and that's why those were early in the season, and they were both huge things that I thought changed the trajectory of our defense.
Final question all the way over on the right.
Tom, you, I'm sure, don't mind singing the praises of T. Gray Scales, who was a big part of your turnaround last year, led the Big Ten in tackles. Where did you see his development last year to make him he became such a special player for your defense's improvement?
Well, I would say, first of all, it started in his preparation. He did not have the year before I got to the 2015 season, he did not play to the standard that I think that we expected him, even though I wasn't here, just talking to the coaches and watching him play, that he was expected to play at. So we had to change the way he prepared. And I challenged him to be a leader. He wasn't when I got here. He was a great kid. He was the guy that everybody loved and all that, but he wasn't a leader on our defense. And so last year, I really imbibed that we had another young man, one of our captains, Mark Sotto, a really good player, but he was kind of quiet. But T. Craig's not quiet. And so you can lead different ways, but you have to verbalize your leadership. You can't just be, hey, I'm going to lead by example. That's okay in a certain situation, but not to run the defense, not to be a linebacker in my mind, to run the team on our side of the football. So he embraced it. He bought into everything that I was telling him. He believed in it, and he lived it out. And so then he started making plays the way that I thought he could. And as you saw that growing, his leadership elevated. Then by the time we got to the bowl game, he was really the one doing the things I had been doing during fall camp, things I was doing during spring ball, on the sideline, when we were doing, whether it was the gassers or in between series or whatever we're doing. And so now, as I would tell people, he runs our team and has embraced that. So to me, it's been a gradual process of him creating that confidence in himself, but he responded. So I love that young man, and he's a guy that is not only a special player, but he's a really special person, and I'm proud of him. And as is Rashard Fenn, who's an excellent student, he's got his degree already, so working on his master's now. So just really quality people. That shouldn't be surprising. Those guys are our leaders, and those guys are the ones that we brought with us today.
Thank you, Coach.